Alpha Sebastian hates her more than anything in the world, because she is the daughter of the king who killed his family and enslaved him and his people. He made her his slave, he owns her, and he will pay her back in spades, everything her father did to him. And her father did a lot, scarred him into being the powerful but damaged monster Alpha he is. An Alpha who battles insanity every single day. An Alpha who loathes to be touched. An Alpha who hasn't slept well in the past 15 years. An Alpha who can't produce an heir to his throne. Oh, he will make her pay. But then again, Princess Clara is nothing like her father. She is different from him. Too different. And when he set out to make her pay, he was bound to find out just how different she is from her father. A love that rose from deep-rooted hatred. What exactly does fate have in store for these two? Besties, stories connect us in amazing ways, but just how far are we reaching today? Comment below where you're watching from. Chapter 1. Princess Clara, help us. The voices of girls cried out as they pushed them into cages, and the men laughed. Sit still, girl, a man growled as he poked a sword at the girls, making sure they were in line. How is she going to help you when she is in a cage herself? The man continued, cackling as he turned to face Clara. Clara spat in his face, baring her teeth at him. A feisty one, the man said with a laugh, showing his brown speckled teeth while wiping his face of her saliva. You will be worth more than those things calling out for you, he continued, as he grabbed a hold of her face through the bar. You don't know who I am. My people will come for you, and they will wipe you out of existence, Clara said between muffled lips. Immaculate skin, good dentition, and nice hair. You must be someone of importance, or the daughter of someone important, the man said as he held her still. Look at those teeth. You just got your virginity taken recently. Would be a wonderful feeling if I can get my dick through those thighs of yours, he continued, pushing Clara further inside the cage. Clara stumbled backward, cleaning her mouth. I'll never allow someone like you to touch me. The man chuckled as he pulled the keys off the cage, pushing the metal doors open. It's been a while since I fucked a virgin. Even if you aren't one of your caliber would do just nice. I'm going to kill you if you come near me, Clara said, gasping with fear as she readied herself to fight the intruder who was coming at her. Feisty one, and I love them feisty. They cream the most, the man said with a grin on his face as he pounced on her. Clara struggled, her body caving into a stronger person as he dropped her on the ground, pinning her to the floor with his weight. Lady Clara. The girls in the other cells cried out as they watched the spectacle. I love it when a crowd keeps the momentum going forward, the man said with a grin as he reached for his trousers. Clara's hand reached for his face, landing a slap on it. Let go of me, you vagabond. It only seemed to arouse the man as his hardened dick poked into her body. You really want to make this hard for both of us. I forgot I was hard already, and only need to sleep it inside you, the man said with a grin as he pushed his head down, pinning it to her lips. Clara could feel her head swooning from the action as his lips remained on hers, sucking the air out of her lungs while the girls cried in their cells. This was it. She was going to lose her dignity to a man who could barely keep himself clean. That's enough, Zach, another voice said as he grabbed the man's head, pulling him away from Clara's body. Zach grumbled as he followed the pain in his head, pulling away from Clara. I haven't even done a thing. Just a kiss, Scarlet. Alpha Sebastian would not be glad if you mess with his merchandise, Scarlet said as he pushed Zach away, his bald head reflecting the fire on the wall. Clara turned around, spitting on the ground while cleaning her mouth, almost retching. Alpha Sebastian would never know. We just raid and we take whatever we want from the prizes, and I want this one, Zach said, pointing towards Clara. Scarlet turned to Zach with a frown on his face. You put what you want in front of Alpha Sebastian and pray to the goddess he doesn't slit your throat before the words leave your lips. You can have fun with the other girls. No, he is not touching my girls, Clara said, pushing herself to her feet. Scarlet swiped his hand, knocking her to the ground before she would complete a sentence. Well, you just hit Alpha Sebastian's merchandise. He is going to strip you naked and flog you in front of his pack, Zach teased. Scarlet growled at Zach. You heard what I said, didn't you? Fine, Zach raised his hands in surrender. "I'll keep my dick in my trousers, but you need to check on the lady you knocked to the ground." Scarlet scoffed as he moved with Zach out of the cell. "She will be fine. Must have taken more than I gave to her in bed with her lover." Both men laughed at the joke as they left. Clara laid on the ground, watching both men walk away. The hit from Scarlet had kicked her down and out as her vision blurred into darkness. Yet she did not know who this Alpha Sebastian was. "Wakey, wakey." Clara stirred to the voice calling her, scrambling away at the unscrupulous sight of Zach staring at her with a smile on his face. "Leave me alone." Zach chuckled as he pushed a bowl of food in front of her. "I'm the least of your worries, Clara. Isn't that what they call you?" Clara stared at the girls who had remained quiet, slowly accepting their fate for what they had become. "What did you do to them?" Zach turned to the girls inside the cages. Nothing more than reality would have done to them. They realized screaming and crying would not get them out of this situation and are slowly but surely accepting what life has for them. "No, someone is coming to save us and they will kill every last one of you," Clara said, with wide, enraged eyes. Zach chuckled as he rose to his full height. "Eat, you need your strength," he said as he pushed the food closer to Clara with his leg. "I'm the least of your worries in this place." Clara pulled her legs together, wrapping her arms around her legs, while Zach walked away with a laugh on his lips. She didn't want to believe that this man was right, and no one was coming for them. "Lady Clara," one of the captured girls called out, putting her head between the bars. "Is it true? No one is coming to get us?" Clara shook her head, pulling herself to her knees. "My father will come. There is no need to be afraid." She said those words to alleviate their fears. Even she didn't believe the very words that left her lips. Chapter 2. "Hold him still," a gruff voice sounded as they held him between metal stakes. Whips lashed into the air, with a cry of pain echoing from the man bound between the stake. "You say your name is Sebastian?" A man with a gold crown on his head and a long glowing rope stood in front of the bound man, holding a glass of wine in his hands. "But you are not a man. You are a beast. A beast who has nothing to offer but his life any time I please." Sebastian lunged at the man with his fangs slipping out of his mouth, only stopped by the metal chains and the stake keeping him in place. The king laughed, dropping the glass of wine on his lips with wide eyes. "Is that all you can do, werewolf? Your father wasn't as whiny as this. Show me more raw energy." Sebastian growled, tightening his fist with the chains snapping. His snout pulled out with teeth baring as black fur covered his skin. Men cast a net over him before he would reach for the king, who had fallen to his back, laughing at him. "That's more like it," the king said as guards helped him to his feet. "You almost made me piss myself. At least your father and you have that in common. That was before I killed him with my sword thrusting through his heart." He continued, making a thrusting motion. Sebastian growled, with the men groaning as they tried to keep him in place. His hatred for this man knew no bounds. "Take care of him," the king said, splurging the wine in his cup over Sebastian's face. "Take care of him." Sebastian knew those words as the men lunged forward with weapons, smashing it into his body while he yelled, transforming to his human form. Darkness came as a bat smashed against his head, knocking him out. "Fuck." Sebastian yelled as he held his hand to his head. It was a dream. He knew this, but he knew it wasn't actually a dream. His brain had recalled a time he had gone through as he flipped the sheet over his legs. Sweat poured over his body, but he ignored it, moving into the bathroom to clean himself. His reflection appeared in the mirror, causing him to flinch back, a reflex action his mind had held after years of going through torture. "How long now until I get my revenge?" Sebastian asked after moving closer to the mirror, washing himself and drying it with a towel. Years of torture had built him the way he was, a man trying to live between sanity and clarity of mind. His nights were filled with dreams and echoes of a time he had lived. A time he had survived in the hopes he would escape. He had escaped, yet it didn't feel like he truly escaped, as his dreams always dragged him to the same point. Sebastian sighed as he moved away. Staring outside, the sun rays glistened through the curtains. The dream had caused him to think it was still night as he moved towards a chair, dropping on it. His eyes gazed at the people as everyone walked around. The noise seemed to be what had triggered him, but he did not care anymore. He was awake now, and he had no reason to fear a dream or what had happened a long time ago. Alpha Sebastian. A man called out as he stepped into a well-lit room holding a mini scroll in his hand. His high chin and the enamored glasses showed he was of a high class as his thick heels slammed against the wooden floor. "What is it, Moreno?" Sebastian asked, waving his hand nonchalantly at the beta to continue. "You should know I don't need it if it isn't important." "Yes, Alpha," Moreno said with a bow. "This is from the raiders." Sebastian scoffed, putting his hand under his jaw while he gazed outside the window. "Another raid?" "Yes, Alpha. Another land to conquer, and yet it doesn't seem it is from the one I want," Sebastian said as he pushed himself from seat. He was a tall man with a blue coat adorning his body and white gloves over his hands. This letter said they conquered Whitestone. Sebastian's eyes lit up at the mention of the name. He turned around, staring at Moreno with wide eyes. "Ready the horses. We are going to meet them," he said as he walked past Moreno. Moreno stared at his passing back in surprise. He had not expected Sebastian to react that way to the information. "Well, I'll get them ready," he replied, wrapping the scroll back in place. Sebastian walked outside with his hand behind him and his head in the clouds. The name Whitestone was a terror to his imagination. It taunted his every dream, pushed him to the edge of sanity. The sound of horse hooves echoed over the cobblestones. Moreno had done his job as an alpha, bringing in the men he needed and their supplies as the beta stepped down from his horse. "It took a while piecing everything on short notice," Moreno said as he walked over to Sebastian's side. "As long as you have them prepared, it is enough," Sebastian said as he walked past him to the white stallion prepared for him. The noise neighed to his touch with its nostrils flaring. "Shush now, boy," he whispered to his companion, brushing his hand to its side. Moreno moved to his side, holding the horse in place before Sebastian mounted the horse. "Why is this so important?" Sebastian turned to him with a glare that would rip flesh from bone. "Get on your horse." Moreno sighed as he looked at the waiting men behind them. There was no need asking for questions where there would be no answer as he mounted his horse with a groan. Sebastian urged his horse forward, fleeting through the town with a flame ablaze in his eyes. No one knew what he had gone through, and he was on his way to make it straight as his horse bounded into the wind. Chapter 3. Zach sat in front of the cell, ripping out a chicken flesh from its bone. "This place is nice, and they seem to have built something for themselves here, but I'm tired of waiting for Alpha Sebastian." Scarlet scoffed at him as he leaned against the wall. "Our job is to deliver the goods without complaints. I'm tired of your rules. It's been 3 days and he isn't here." Zach whined, slurping the soup with relish. "He will come and stop your whining. You are doing more than the girls when we caught them," Scarlet said as he pushed himself to his feet. Clara scuttled backwards as Zach stared at her with a grin. His wrinkled face held mischievous thoughts only held back by Scarlet's presence. "My dick itches for that one," Zach teased as he dropped his bowl, yawning out loud. "Go fuck a tree hole or something. Spread your seeds somewhere else." "We need the money and it seems she will bring the price," Scarlet said as he turned towards Clara's cage. Zach sneered at him, throwing his shirt over his shoulder. "We are sitting ducks here. Relax, Alpha Sebastian will be here soon." "He is here," a young lad said, bursting into the dungeon. "Alpha Sebastian has come." Scarlet turned to Zach with a smug look. "Speak of the devil and he appears. I told you he would come and we would get this sorted out with. You can fuck as many girls as you want after we get paid." Zach had a frown on his face as he turned towards Clara. "And she will be that one that got away." "All is fair in love and war. In your case, lust," Scarlet said as he walked away from Zach, heading out into the open. The sun beamed down on him as he stepped out of the enclosure. Horse hooves clattering drew closer until he could see the men heading towards him. "Hold your position," Scarlet said, holding his hand on his waist as his men took their formation, waiting for their guest. A white horse stopped in front of him, with a man dropping from the host as it came to a stop. "Alpha Sebastian," Scarlet said as Sebastian walked towards him. We've waited quite a while for you to check on our latest merchandise. Where is he? Sebastian asked without sparing a second glance at the mercenary commander. Scarlet chuckled, staring at the unit in front of him. Where is who? The King of Whitestone, Sebastian said with a gruff voice as he moved toward Scarlet. Scarlet chuckled, with his chest puffing out. The King of Whitestone? I killed him, he said with a laugh that ended with him choking. Sebastian had drawn closer to him, wrapping his hand around his neck and lifting him from the ground while he choked. Who asked you to kill him? Scarlet reached for the hand holding him up in the sky while he struggled to breathe. The old man was a menace. Sebastian flung him to the ground, holding his hand to his face. I told you never to kill the king if you got to Whitestone. Your job isn't the only one I'm doing, Scarlet said, rubbing his hand against his neck. Sebastian pulled his hands from his face with his eyes blazing a fiery red. His fangs poured from the side of his lips. I told you he was mine. Scarlet pulled himself from his feet, flustered as he tried to catch his breath. It was between my life or his, and I chose mine. I have no regrets about that, no matter how you fuss about it. Sebastian growled as he turned away, heading towards his horse. Our deal is over. What about our pay? We've been fighting your battles with humans for a while now, Zack said, with his frail figure standing next to Scarlet. Sebastian reached for Marino, pulling out 2 sacks from the horse's sides. Here, your pay for doing nothing, he said as he threw the bags of coins to their front. If I may interest you with another merchandise, Scarlet said, holding his hands out with a smile plastered on his face, like the person he spoke with didn't just have his hand wrapped around his neck. Sebastian raised his eyes to meet Moreno. What kind of merchandise is this? Zack let out an awkward smile, rubbing his hand together. We caught some people. It seems they were part of the royal family. Sebastian raised an eye. He would like to meet those. They had watched their king torture a young boy for years and did nothing to correct the errors of his ways. Lead me to them. This was the time to pay them in their own coin. Zack chuckled as he led the way, with Scarlet and Sebastian behind him, a smile on his face with every part they took into the destroyed castle's dungeon until they were with those they had captured. Here they are, Alpha Sebastian. Is this all the people you got? Sebastian asked as he looked around. His face held disappointment as he scrunched it up. Yes, Zack said with a smile. They are some of the best girls I've fucked in a while. Sebastian turned his face away from the girls. I have no use for them, he said as he turned away, leaving Zack stumped. Scarlet held out his hand, stopping him from leaving. You haven't seen all of them. Sebastian raised his head to stare at the mercenary leader who had dared to stand in his way. I have no use for them or you anymore. Scarlet nudged his head at the cage opposite the girl. Maybe that one would interest you. Just take a look, Alpha Sebastian, Zack said, adding to the pressure. Sebastian turned to the cage, walking closer. His face scrunched at the sight of the girl inside, with pent-up emotion roaring in his ears. Who is she? Scarlet shrugged his shoulders. We found her trying to escape with those girls when we attacked the kingdom. Thought she would be someone of higher status with the way they kept calling her a princess. Could be from the lesser princess. We killed all the princes and princesses. There's no way for us to verify which. Princess Clara, ain't that right? Zack said as he licked his lips. My father is the King of Whitestone. Sebastian slammed his hand on the bar with the bars ringing. I want her. How much would she cost? I'm not a goods to be sold. Shut the fuck up. Sebastian growled as he turned towards her. You have no say in what you will become here. Zack rushed to Sebastian's side. There is no need to get pissed off about a girl who's about to become your slave. Sebastian turned to him. Name your price. Scarlet stepped forward. The thing is, you buy her, but you have to buy the rest of the girls with her. How much? Sebastian repeated. The question seemed to irritate him as he turned to the mercenary leader. The same price you pay me for each land I have conquered for you, Scarlet said, holding his breath as he knew the offer was steep. Sebastian turned away, heading to the door of the dungeon. Bound her and bring to me. You can do with the girls as you please. And the pay? Zack asked. Step into the light with her, and you get your pay, Sebastian said as he walked away. Clara pushed herself deeper into the cell, No one's going to sell me like I'm some sort of livestock. Zach turned towards Scarlet, ignoring the girl who was speaking in the cage. He agreed to the price like it was nothing. I'm just as surprised as you are, Scarlet said, turning to Clara. It seems I should have asked for more if I knew he would agree to the price. Zach laughed as the keys jiggled in his hands. Doesn't matter now, he said with a clang and the metal squealing as he pushed the metal gate out of his way. More money and more girls to fuck. It is a win-win. I told you to let me fuck, and you refused. Scarlet slammed his hand on Zach's back. I'm sorry, old friend. Let's get her ready for her new owner. Princess Clara, he continued as he made a mock bow with both men chuckling as they walked towards Clara. Clara screamed, struggling, but she was hardly a match as they toppled her to the ground, binding her with a silver cuff to stop her from escaping. Zach smiled as he bundled her, picking her over his shoulder. You should have let me hit when I had the chance. At least mine is not as big as those werewolves with their high libido. Clara struggled, but Zach's grip on her was like a vice. She watched as they pulled her away, leaving the girls from her kingdom. Bright light washed over her face as they stepped out into the open. Sebastian sat on his horse, with 2 extra bags of gold coins sitting on the ground. Zach groaned as he dropped Clara to the ground. He wasn't joking when he agreed to the price. Well, we have to give him his goods. He has paid for it, Scarlet said as he grabbed Clara's arm, pulling her towards Sebastian's mount. Sebastian let out a rope, tying it to his steed and throwing the other end to Scarlet. You don't mean to make her walk all the way back to our pack? Moreno asked as he noticed what was happening. Sebastian raised an eyebrow at his beta. Then you mean to decide what I would do to the servant I bought with my coin? No, Alpha, Moreno said, throwing a curt bow to Sebastian. Scarlet chuckled as he clipped Clara's cuffs to the rope, moving away towards the bag of coins Sebastian had dropped from him. Zach was there already, pulling out the other girls from the cages with each man holding on to one of them. Clara raised her head to meet Sebastian. You bought all of us. Why would you keep them here, and take only me? Sebastian said nothing as he nicked his stallion's side, nudging it to turn away. We have no deal anymore. Scarlet raised his hands with the gold coins clinking as they dropped to the ground. It was nice doing business with you, Alpha Sebastian. Sebastian nodded his head as he nudged his head forward, slipping through his people with Clara trailing behind him, with her hands tied to his horse. Sebastian closed his eyes, letting the warmth of the sun soak him. He could not forget that king's face, and he had seen it in her eyes. Those same gray eyes and the jawline fit for royalty. Now it was time for him to enact his revenge. If he could not do it to the king, his heir would suffer the fate meant for him, where the children suffered for the atrocities their fathers committed. Besties, this is the end of part 1. To not miss out on the continuation of this story, subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications so you'd be notified when part 2 is uploaded. Lots of love.